You did yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all set.
Oh, okay. Oh, no,
You did yours too.
I don't think I'm technically
She's not a member. But you did all yours.
yes, I did all my already anyway.
Okay, raise your right hands, please. And repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to faithfully and impartially discharge the duties as member of the Center School Committee in accordance with the Constitution of this Commonwealth and ordinances, backing up, and the rules, laws, and ordinances
And the rules, laws, and ordinances.
of the town of Whately to the best of my knowledge and ability. Fantastic.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever done that for any committee I've ever sat on in this town.
Then you have never been a legitimate member.
I guess not. Everything I already ever done. It's null and void. Everything. Wow.
Well, not if it hasn't been objective,
I guess not.
right?
Now you can be held accountable. Before you could.
Right. I told Judy, she asked if I've been sworn in, and I said, I've been sworn at, but the first time.
Yes. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Gonna record.
It is.
I'm just touching up the minutes from last time. What was Hannah R's last name? Jesse Bean and Anna that you met with from the Franklin.
It's a very long last name that starts with an R that I can send you the spelling for.
That's what she said last time.
I know.
That's fine, but I don't.
You can quote me that saying it's a long last name.
Okay.
Mess up.
So we did, so I'm looking at the minutes from June 16th, which we did send out, and Judy gave us some corrections too. Do we need to do anything else with them before approving them, or can we do that?
Approve.
Any objections?
Second.
Okay.
You do need to vote.
Not if there's no objections.
There's no objections to the motion.
Okay. Vote to approve them?
Not voting because I wasn't there.
You were not there. Okay. Passed, thank you. Not on with the other steps. Okay. So were people able to call contact their organizations? Great.
To varying degrees of success, I'm sure.
Yeah, yes.
They adopted a policy that after I got voicemail the third time, I would leave a voicemail message. This person was not gonna talk to me.
Oh, you would or would not?
I would leave a message.
Yeah, I left messages the first time and did get a couple of calls back.
I leave a message and then I follow it up with a LinkedIn
Yeah,
connection saying, hey, I'm just following up on the voicemail I just left you.
well, I followed up with an email.
Yeah.
With the.
Okay.
With the. Great information and links and.
Yeah, for my edification, you were calling people who you thought might be interested in the RFI?
From the list of names that I've been assigned.
I think that was probably got lost in your email.
Oh,
problem,
yes,
but-
I sent it to your old email.
Okay.
I will send the list to your
Okay.
email.
So we each got 5 people who were originally contacted. Who did not respond to Caroline.
Okay,
But with her summary of what, this is my list.
Did we get any takers?
Any what?
Any takers, anyone say yes, I'm really interested in partnering and helping?
The list that I got was not a list of people who would be takers. They would be a list of people who might know other people,
Yeah, same here.
chambers and that type of thing.
Okay,
So it's more on my end, it's more process.
I did get one very responsive person at Community Action who said that, not only was she gonna bring it up with her board and look for ideas of people, but she was going to bring it up on the agenda for the Franklin County Resource Network. She said they meet, it's a group of organizations in Franklin County that meet to brainstorm solutions to problems they have. Usually it's something like, I have this person in this location that needs housing, you have any ideas, but she said they would talk it up, and I thought that was fantastic.
Great.
One reaction from one of these people, this was United Way, Franklin and Hampshire. It took some time to explain that I wasn't one of their typical applicants. You know, I was a change gear kind of conversation, like, oh, I get it now. And I mean, you could see the thoughts change as she realized, okay, we don't want you to, you're not asking us for money, you're asking us to contact.
Right.
And so that was informative. Unfortunately, that's the last one I talked to, so it wasn't much help with the other calls.
Judy, I think that's a theme though, that people gave the email at best a cursory glance. They didn't really
Well,
take it in
even-
because I had to explain every time and they still didn't really understand what we were trying to do.
Yeah, and even after I explained, you know, I think the email, I'm not sure it was, I mean, even if they read it, they didn't slot it correctly.
Right. Right.
So,
Just by way of background for me, the Springfield Regional Chamber, I'm gonna sit down with their president sometime in the next few weeks. I know the person that was on the email listed pretty well. And she's gonna set something up so that I can better explain what we want from them. You know, the region is so parochial in terms of Hampton County, frankly, Hampton just drives me bad. But they're just, well, have you talked with people X, Y, and Z in Franklin County? Point, and they have a really hard time getting beyond that. But I'll work with them to set up something pretty quickly. West of the River Chamber of Commerce, I left a message, but I had a long conversation with Jacob Robinson at the Amherst Chamber, or the Amherst, Chamber, and he was really, really helpful. He didn't quite understand what we were trying to do. He kept pushing me to Franklin County as well, but have we talked with Tony Maroulis at UMass?
His name sounds very familiar.
He's the head of community relations, and I know him. I can reach out to him, but I want to make sure that whether we have sent him anything or not.
our UMass contact, I think, was in the either Stockbridge, either farming or
Yeah,
cooking, it wasn't.
but that name sounds very familiar.
He's been around for, I mean, your mom probably knows.
Probably.
I would be shocked. So anyway, please let me know if.
Yeah,
if-
I'll double check.
And
that.
I'll check with them. The town of Belchertown's doing something somewhat similar to what we're doing as well. The Carriage Grove development. They did a feasibility study. I guess there's a Tagent school that was part of the old hospital in Belchertown. So I'm gonna try to reach out to them as well.
Oh, is that like across the street from their high school? Like back,
perhaps, I
like
don't,
back where the.
I know, this is all what Jacob was telling me, so you know. But to see if there are people that they may have reached out to that, so we know whether we're chasing fool's gold or not. And then he told me to sit down with Aaron Vega, which you already did, and I'm seeing him in a few weeks on something different.
Oh, okay.
So I'll tag team on that. That didn't go anywhere really, though, did it?
Well, so he suggested that I speak with Jesse Dean and this Hannah R person. I have yet to hear from either of them.
You had a meeting set up with that.
I was reaching out to set up.
So I'm sorry, so I misunderstood. Okay, so a meeting didn't happen, you contacted them and asked for a
Yes.
meeting
Yes,
and haven't heard.
Who's Jesse D?
he is the president of the Franklin County Chamber of Commerce, I believe.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yep, so
It's a female, correct? Jesse, female?
I'm not sure. I've not met Jesse Dean personally.
Okay.
But yeah, I emailed them, followed up again, and then followed up one more time. And so, but then Aaron Vega also introduced me to someone named, oh, it's leaving me now, but just opened the launch space in Athol and Amherst, or sorry, Athol and Orange. It's like a community maker space almost. So I believe they each have a timeshare kitchen where they host cooking classes. They have pottery and ceramic classes. They have it's basically a space where you can just learn how to make stuff. And so Aaron Vega suggested that we learn from the CEO, whose name is now escaping me, but she invited us to do a site visit. If that sounds exciting, she was able to leverage lots of different state fundings and private investors and whatnot into the space to build it. So their timeshare kitchen is opening next week. So they're in the middle of their grand opening sequence. And so I'm on vacation next week, so I offered to reach back out when I got back to go and learn about their process. I believe it's called Launch Space or Launch Pad or it's Launch something. It's an Athol and Orange.
Yeah, Orange has done a ton of stuff of this nature. Just a ton of stuff over the last 20 years.
Yes.
Have we talked about mass development?
Yes.
We have. What was their
Well, that was before the RFI was released. Pete and I had a meeting with Mass Development to talk about several projects that were happening in town, and this was one of them. Mass Development basically said, they would be more on the side of funding once it comes to building and construction, and that would be applying for either a loan or a grant.
Okay, so we don't need to, because that's what Jacob also said, reach out to mass. So we've already covered that.
Yes. I mean, it's been a little bit. I could retouch base with them. But yeah, but they seemed like they'd be a partner once we're ready to look for funding. Once we have a decision of what we want to do.
I mean, we need to, and I'm just one voice, but I think we need to really be a burr in the side of all these organizations. It's just not their priority, nor should it be. We gotta keep, otherwise they're gonna forget about us. They've got more pressing stuff than the center's been like the passages. So we need to be a fast. I think the squeaky wheel.
That's fine. I think we just need to hone in on which organizations were pestering for what. Cause it's all still a little too amorphous.
I think we need to broaden our network. I think we need to find more organizations. Some,
Each
a few.
organization has a different focus, so
Right.
you can't
We haven't
narrow,
found any.
you cut yourself off.
I don't necessarily mean narrowing the type. But I realized when I started making the calls, it's still. We have been, I think, correct me if you have a different understanding, but we have been trying to clarify what direction would be of most interest. And so the conversations have been a little bit feeling out, does this excite you? And I think for doing what you're suggesting, we need to be much more directive.
Well, I was contacting organizations that represented, many of them anyway, a particular function, and others, about half, that represented counties, you know. And on those, I stressed, look, this is a great opportunity for the right organization. You know, the town will pay for the rehab. This this organization gets to participate in design and enter into a long-term relationship with the building and doesn't have to take. And that really seemed to fly. People like that.
Mhm.
And I mean, we're clear about that part.
Right, what we're not clear about is, we need to, again, we haven't found. The American Food Trucks Consortium to partner with us, and that's what we need to bug the connecting organizations like you've reached out to, like, the chambers and who would be a partner that advocates for the small businesses.
So there may not be one.
There may not.
There's a Facebook group of food truck owners. Apparently. So I spoke to a truck owner at a concert, and he actually uses Mycotera, but said three things that I thought were interesting. One, that there aren't a lot of other people that use there because mostly she uses it herself. So that answers maybe the question about why is there no advertising. Two, that he, and therefore I assume others, would be interested in additional, more than just one location, because it depends where they're going.
Hmm.
So, I mean, Mycotera is not that far away from us, but there may be other ones that their home base is Connecticut, but they're coming up here for something and they'd love to have access to a place here. And three, that there's a Facebook group of truck owners.
Have you been in on the page? Have you connected with them?
No, because I won't touch Facebook. So,
I hate social media.
so yeah, somebody else needs to do that.
Franklin County Development maintains a website,
That list,
but they're in contact with them all.
right? No, I remember that.
I mean, they were on our list, I think.
But a Facebook group may be a different kind of buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
New England food trucks, food truck foodies in the Bristol Continental meet our 401 food trucks, no Springfield, Mass Forum, open forum, food truck park. Oh, yeah. Festivals, sales for rent, events festival finder, meet our 401 website, Rhode Island. New Hampshire food truck operators, food trucks and food trailers for sale, food truck training.
You're looking at the Facebook.
I'm looking at a variety of, I'm looking essentially at the table of contents on
Oh.
Facebook. A lot of for sale stuff, food truck in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. You don't have a name of it?
No, but, I do have the business card from Cliff's Barbecue. They may be willing to give one.
You're written up in today's recorder, if that's.
Okay.
I'm going to search, but just putting Massachusetts active food truck in Massachusetts, don't really bring up something that's more.
How about Pioneer Valley?
Massachusetts, you're saying.
Yeah, just put Massachusetts.
Has the survey,
Connecticut River Valley.
over the last 2 months, has the survey gone out to farmers, food trucks,
Not,
caterers?
not food trucks, not caterers, to farmers. It's gonna be in the CISA newsletter, which is helpful. So it's gonna go out to everyone that's on the
That's
CISA
great.
email list.
See it, food trucks in Massachusetts.
I reached out to Gwen to remind the Ag Commission to complete it, because so far we only have
Post, good
2 responses. And today
post.
Hang on just a second.
Can't see it.
Oh. Caroline is explaining what happened to the survey, which sounds like, I mean, the questions that you're asking sounds like something that the survey was designed to answer. Is there interest among farmers and food trucks?
Look, someplace on the title page, show me posts a day, and that's really important because it really shows some objectivity happens on the site. And we would want to be able to connect to something that has a regular activity.
Yeah, I'll try to group.
Which one's that?
Okay,
Food trucks in Massachusetts.
can you?
So
multitask?
has anyone responded to the survey?
Well, what, are we? We're still on the RFI.
Okay. What,
Okay, well,
I mean, I understand that they're linked to.
yeah, okay, well, I guess, does anybody have more feedback from their conversations that? I mean, what the RFIs seem to be resulting in is more people to contact,
okay,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And we should call from that list a new group to pester. Right? That's what we're saying?
And add it to the data, to the spreadsheet that you sent to each of us. And then maybe we can send it to you for
like a master, to create like a master.
yeah.
Technically, we've only got 2 weeks left, so,
Well, so I think that's part of the conversation, because we have yet to have a formal vote to extend the deadline of the RFI. And so I think we should have a formal vote and we should decide a date.
Can we extend it indefinitely?
We could, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I'd recommend that, but we certainly could, if that's what
What's not formal about 4 out of 7 people's responding?
it was against open meeting.
And stop, business starts.
Will answer? Okay. Okay,
then let's go to extend.
Try to
what?
find some.
Yeah, a formal vote in a public meeting.
I might try.
Yeah.
well, I think a deadline is
Might be able
helpful.
to get a hold of the person who did the site in the first place.
Could we extend it for
No,
2 months?
It should be in there.
We certainly
Moderator.
could,
Moderator. That's the moderator.
yeah, no, I mean, it's up to you.
I would-
Associate Facebook page.
Well,
You do, that's their
We
moderator.
need,
Yeah.
You know, get it past Labor Day, things don't happen in the summer.
exactly,
That's true.
that's exactly where I'm going. It's how far into the fall do we need to extend it through to feel like,
You guys aren't gonna like this answer. I
I
don't
think
we
it
should-
doesn't matter until we,
I don't think we should tie our hands to a specific date. You know, all due respect, I get Carolyn's point, but we're essentially starting a business. And you're doing customer discovery, and that's gonna take as long as it takes.
So what you're saying is, I think, we keep it open until we get the partners we need.
Exactly.
As an alternative, we extended it some definite period, we can always extend it again.
We could, my only concern with that, Stephen, I thought about that, but does it show we're not getting traction?
Yeah, true.
And I,
It's like a house for sale that's been on the market and you took.
Yeah. I kind of worry that we're being recorded, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to watch this stuff, right?
Mhm.
I kind of worry that people are gonna say these guys. We're just gonna move on without the bill because these guys don't have,
Yeah,
these guys are demonstrating that there's no there. And I don't want to show that.
Well, in the beginning, there isn't, but as we progress through it, there will be.
What
There's
is,
some problems, but will their patients be, relevant and with that, but
if their patience runs out, we run out.
Yeah.
Just put into,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was curious, since I just joined. Committee, when is the expiration date?
It was the 6th
Of July.
of July.
That's
We
what
were
we got.
meeting on the 7th to talk about what the response has been, and then we realized we needed more time to try and generate more response. So,
I'm just curious, on this second committee,
yes,
what was the timeline between the expiration of the first committee and re-institutional?
pre and post COVID.
Okay,
And actually post-COVID some more because, so the first committee was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And the result of the first committee was an RFP of nonprofit ideas. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I tuned out for a while.
there was sort of a second committee and we put in a lot of grant applications. So that took a year
Right.
and they were unsuccessful except for the one that who paid for the feasibility study.
Right.
And then
But then where did that came after denying the housing
yep,
RFPs, right? So, okay,
yeah,
So-
I'm sorry.
so there was
okay.
fairly early after the first committee took a break, not took a break. The first committee was generated to reconcile the fact that the 3 current select board people all were going in totally different directions and to make a recommendation. And we did. Rich, Judy and I were all on it. And then at some point, and I'm not sure when, there was an RFP put out, I believe, for nonprofit ideas of by people who wanted to do them.
Yeah.
And there were 2 or 3, and
They weren't necessarily nonprofit,
okay, so maybe I'm making that
because
part
the
up.
housing people were
no, they were
Entirely
private corporation.
profit oriented.
But the housing people were the second RFP.
Okay, the first RFP, was for a partner.
Okay. Then there was a second RFP.
Yeah.
For anything,
For a purchase of the building.
and
That's the way I remember.
okay, and 2 developers, one local and the other with an interest particularly in historic buildings, proposed high-end housing. And I convinced the select board to reject them both. Well, there was a committee that I was asked to be on to choose between them. chose one, I convinced the select board to reject both and give us a chance to work some more on it.
Each of the proposals would have involved a significant amount of town money via the CPA. More than the
Well,
town was likely to.
yeah, I've been impressed by the numbers. We can just say.
Well, the numbers at that point were smaller, but,
Yeah.
Right.
but
But,
still.
you know, it was CPA money for then some private entity to
Yeah.
make the profit.
No, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
get a little
yeah,
So
background.
then Judy generously says committee, but she and Carolyn's predecessor did a ton of work on grant proposals, and now it picks up where Judy left off. And so it was obvious then that we needed to fine tune our thinking. And we did the process of the feasibility study.
Okay, no, thank you, I appreciate it, I don't want to take up any more time, but I have
No.
other.
So it'd be
Helpful to
reminder.
It is, it is.
we can relive it in our minds.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to add just one other thing. I'm very curious to see the inside of the building and, you know, validate what this report says. Is the committee ever as a group for the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, right in the beginning of the.
About a year ago.
Jenny has a key, so she'd be happy to take it in her spare time.
Yes,
Okay,
I'll be back on the 5th of August.
okay,
Contact me
All
after
right,
that and
good.
I'm happy to take you.
all right,
These stairs to be added are not friendly.
okay.
You know, if you're gonna do that anytime in the near future, I would like to go back in the building too.
Maybe Carolyn has time to, if you're gonna be away till the fifth.
And I'll be away next week. So I'll be back on the 3rd, 2nd, but that same week.
Have you been in the building,
I
Caroline?
have not.
Okay, you should do it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
No, I just found it so helpful to really, not just have to imagine it, but.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm happy to do that again and,
It helps put the possibilities into perspective when you see the site firsthand.
I was really surprised to learn that the police were occupying the building until the 2018.
There's a sad little station, but they managed, I suppose, they're in a better place.
The select board shared that basement.
You did,
Yeah,
in the basement.
and we were in the basement for a while too. I don't remember why, but we met in the basement.
Yeah.
This
Well, that's
got three offices.
Well, we got
Yeah,
also
was in
first
that
floor.
building.
I don't remember why we moved down. but-
Because that was the conference space,
yeah,
What?
conference space. It's the equivalent of this.
But we
Offices.
also met upstairs, and then for some reason we moved downstairs. Cause I remember we were meeting on the first floor when I
maybe
first
it was
joined.
warmer.
It's a bit moldy.
I know, but
I would imagine.
There are memories that I sort of block out.
okay,
There's also a lot of co-working Facebook pages, a ton of them. So I'll fall on my sword and start to bother these people and maybe I'll find Carolyn's Facebook page so that she can help me sort it through.
Me? I do not have Facebook.
You don't?
No.
That generation.
I do.
I don't have any social.
it's the generation in between us.
Well, they said 25 years ago that the fastest growing demographic on Facebook was women in their 40s.
Really?
Yeah. And that was,
Like I
that was,
said.
that was the indicator of her generation saying, we're out of here.
Yeah,
That's why Instagram.
yeah, no, like I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah,
generation in between us.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Statistic I just heard this past weekend shocked me that 54% of the American population only has a 6th grade reading level.
That wouldn't surprise them.
I know that. The one that goes along with that word, not here nor there. The sentences on the books that are on the New York Times bestseller list are half the size they were 20 years ago.
So can we, give that subject of extending the deadline?
Yes,
Now, I can see both ways. I mean, if we simply extend it indefinitely, I could go with that too. To me, it makes more sense to extend it a few months and then choose to extend it when that runs out, but.
how about the end of the year?
Or my other suggestion, just suggestion. We could extend it indefinitely, but we have an end of the year check-in period where we will cut it off if we're satisfied with the results.
So Carolyn, what was your logic to not setting an end date? Because I think what he's suggesting is related.
Well, honestly, it was in conversations with Pete about like, well, if there's no end date, people won't feel pressure to get it in.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my reaction.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, I
that's
just
true.
want to make sure,
Including
yeah.
us.
The two motivated.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I think the end date is as effective for us, or is much of a motivator for us as the outside world, but you know, I can see the other argument too. So Pete, we've talked about this with Pete. I was afraid that it might not be legal under posting laws not to have a date, so it's okay.
Yeah, but we'll have to release an addendum to it.
Yeah,
And it'll come with like a news release and whatnot.
Okay.
But there has to be like a formal posting. But we couldn't just post the deadline's been extended without an open meeting about it. Or public meeting.
Rich just made a very good point. Rich gets the idea behind Pete's, no one's gonna respond. No one responds. So it's not like people said, oh my God, I gotta,
Right.
Get it in. Yeah.
Right.
but I'm also gonna, unless somebody has an objection, I'm gonna post the RFI on these different Facebook pages.
I'm sorry, on the what?
On the different Facebook, on the co-work
Oh, okay.
Facebook
Yeah.
pages, on on all and the childcare, the kitchen, food truck, whatever it is. I just have to remember to actually, monitor it. Cause I won't go to Facebook for 6 months and then I will have wasted
Mhm.
time. Unless,
Just do this, John. You join one of
That
those
sounds like
Facebook
Rich
pages.
is a
You can
nice
send-
idea.
You can send an invite, send me an invite so I can monitor it.
okay,
Yes.
So you do an invite on each one of the pages that you send stuff to, so when you send it to, then I can pay attention to what's going on.
what about? I don't know if I wanna say this. What about if we created a center school committee Facebook page? The problem is
Somebody has to be the monitor.
And you are
Moderator, yeah, and doesn't mean that there's gonna be a great deal of traffic on it, I'm sure it's not, but.
Yeah.
but we look legit. Rather than some guy who runs this other random company.
Except, shouldn't we post a Instagram page if we want to do that?
Both. Different demographic, yeah. And
Maybe,
TikTok
maybe
for
we
that.
need somebody else on this committee who enjoys doing that.
Yes, yes. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, seriously, which means what age group?
Just
Someone who
the
just
age
makes-
that's busiest.
Mm.
The ones with young families with jobs and kids and rarely participate in town. Civic.
Need two of those
I remember when we did
criteria.
the Whately rec page. It was a bunch of moms. And they were great. Cause they lived on it anyway. And it's. Can we put out a, when's the next school go out?
September.
That was me, I guess.
And when's the deadline you leaving?
It's
Yeah.
What?
End of
End of
August.
August, I meant.
What about if we put a call to social media,
Or Maven, what,
have it, who, and just say, we're looking for a committee member.
Yeah.
And this is your role.
I would do it both on the scoop and the town Facebook page.
That's right, yeah.
And I don't know, does the town have an Instagram?
We put it on and I hear people used to look at it. I don't know whether they still do the Whately Community Bulletin Board on TV.
I don't,
FCAP.
FCAT.
yes. I mean, we post all the select board meetings, library
No,
trustee
he's talking about a special.
Oh.
Uh,
Like a ad or logo or
Yeah.
something. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
PowerPoint page.
all the above the trail.
Is it info at FCAT, whatever? TV. I don't know, I can send you. I'll just Google FCAT.
And I can start it, and then when somebody joins who knows what they're doing, they can improve upon it dramatically.
Actually, you might. If you don't know Jonathan Boshin at FCAT. You might just chat with him about ways to get the word out.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Jess and Keith are usually the ones who speak with him, but I can.
I'll just say, look, Kay may know, he probably knows his colleagues in Greenfield and Northampton.
Mhm.
Uh, He's a nice guy,
Who are you talking about?
the director of FCAT,
Oh, okay.
he's the one who. You see if you wanna tape your speech in town.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I would do it, except I need
That's
nothing
just
on
fine.
it. Something else.
Oh. And I'll go home. Okay, and best way to kind of garner interest and enthusiasm is have people comment. And if I can comment on your posts, then there's more people involved in that trying to draw attention to the post in the first place.
Yeah.
Also, and just to add a stipulation, if we have an official town Facebook page, we cannot have comments turned on.
You can what?
We cannot have comments turned on after August 2nd.
What?
Part of, I guess there's
same things?
no, there's the new part of like archiving comments on official public facing things. And so in a way to not archive every single comment that's on an official Facebook page, as of August 2nd, the select board has voted to turn off all comments on official Facebook pages.
You can post it, but people can't reply, people can't comment, there could be no.
People can share it to their own Facebook page, but they cannot comment.
But they can't communicate via the page itself.
Can there be a
Won't go say anything.
can there
I
be
get
a
why, but you
non-official
can't
one
control.
that
They-
people are directed to?
You lose
to
every argument
comment?
you'll ever have on Facebook.
Sure, I understand.
What would that look like? I don't think you can have like a center school committee that's unofficial, because it's a town.
Right, want feedback.
Okay, so, yeah, if our goal is to generate buzz and generate interest, we do want some ability to comment. So can there be a official page that refers people to an alternate site?
We don't have to be affiliated with it. I mean, we could I could create a nonprofit. Or we've all agreed we're gonna go down that road at some point. We could, and even though we're not sanctioned by the IRS yet, we can create a page. Or I can create a page saying Friends of the Whately Center School Committee. Why not?
Or do we create, this brings back, I still haven't forgotten the RFI deadline, but this brings back your question about should we be creating an LLC to get the help there be a real entity that already exists, which is where we envision structuring the partnership within, if I'm saying it correctly.
Think you are, but the question is, who is we? Because I think the town has to do it. So
We should-
it would have to be approved by the select board. We're an ad hoc committee, we have no,
Right. But we are,
and even if weren't ad hoc,
right,
we're
but we're,
representatives of the town and the town would have to
That-
create.
that's fine, but the idea has been that the town will not be running the center school,
Agreed, I had,
right?
so
No,
maybe it's time to move that ahead, but then so we need to create a proposal for the select board.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm just trying to tease apart the process. That we're, our ultimate goal is to have a nonprofit entity that manages the building, whose board is made up of the partners, which we don't have yet. And we would like the town to be a partner
Have to
in
be.
some way,
Yeah.
have to be, so they would have a representative on that board. And maybe somebody from this committee has a seat on the board, and maybe not, I don't even know what the committee continues to exist at that point or not. But that entity, would their social media be bound by this?
No.
So that's sort of where,
Well, that's where Jonathan,
that's the connection I'm making, is that,
that was Jonathan's point.
right,
because I think the town is gonna tread very carefully into the creation of the nonprofit. I don't think they'll have a beef with it, but it's gonna be a discussion.
And a lawyer, all the time.
Probably.
right,
And so that's why I just think as a starting point, for our purposes of the RFI, just create an organization, the Friends of the Whately Center School, and have that. It's sort of like Friends of the Library. Do they have a Facebook page?
They don't exist.
Well, when they did,
I don't know. I don't think, I would be surprised.
yeah,
Yeah,
Friends of any,
They had a link to,
like you guys have a Facebook page at the Historical Society, right?
Historical Society is a 501c3.
Right.
The Historical Commission is.
Right, my point is,
They have a webpage.
my point is,
Yeah,
though, that you don't, when you do stuff. I mean, you're pretty connected to the town, obviously, for a lot of reasons.
No, not really.
Build it space.
Pay rent.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I would advocate for the creation of a Friends of. It's not, we're not claiming we're speaking on behalf of the town. We're just trying to build interest.
Fire Departments Association. They're separate.
Yeah.
I don't, you send checks to them, they're deductible, well, we did the time. I don't know how they're organized. Yeah, friends,
You know, like, anybody I would make a motion that we create a Friends of the Center School, Whately Center School.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
as, I think there's more to that sentence. Create a Friends of the Center School as an LLC for the
This
purposes.
is a nonprofit, just as a
It's not a-
Facebook page. Josh, this is well short of LLC.
Okay,
Well,
Yeah.
sure.
This is just a.
It's almost like a club.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
There's no-
But it gets filed with the Secretary of State. So it's a recorded nonprofit.
Right, it's just, it's a way to publicize the beauty of the Whately Center School and all its opportunities.
Yep. I'll vote for that.
Nebulousness is wonderful.
So creating it as a nonprofit.
No,
Creating
No.
a Facebook page.
Just
creating an organization that it does, actually, it's not even, it shouldn't even be a vote of this committee.
Oh yeah, it's just a club of
It's just a club, it's just, yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Wait,
I rescind that.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, a
Support.
friends of the social.
Supporters of the center school.
Right, yeah, whatever, yeah,
Friends of the center.
okay.
Friends, I think friends, sound right.
You could always write, we encourage the, you know, making of this site,
And this
Yeah, to
is, that
remove
would
our-
be something to go.
our decision-making capacity.
It has no decision-making capacity at all.
Right.
Yeah, just it's,
No, but our decision-making capacity over the creation of that site in the first place, since we're talking about it. If she were to put in a note that we encourage it, then that allows
Anyone. to do
anyone
it.
to
right,
involve themselves in the
Yes.
creation of that site.
So we're rescinding the vote, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I might suggest it just not appear in the minutes.
Okay,
Although I guess if you
I,
vote and then rescind, we vote, we're sending the same thing.
it can appear in the minutes as a discussion about.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
Yes.
So what I've written down so
It
far,
was inappropriate for
to this discussion to create a Friends of the Whately Center School as a non-decision making. And
no, as a nonprofit, just stop there. Advisory nonprofit. Helpful, supportive, and just nonprofit. Independent. Deadline.
yeah. Okay, well, for me, it sort of splits the difference to have enough time to have fall action as well as the current action, but also feel like there's an end in sight to say the calendar year, the end of the calendar year.
That makes sense to me.
Reevaluation at the end of the calendar year. Something to that effect.
No, I think it's a deadline, which we can reevaluate sooner than that and extend if we feel like something's happening.
Well, we could extend at the end of the year.
Right,
I would just think that we would have it extend, and then at the end of the year, decide, oh, we might want to cut it off.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
my worry is if there's no published deadline, does that mentally affect how people respond?
I think it would require our involvement, conversations with those people to encourage the involvement in the first place until we get enough people taking an interest. Then having a deadline is the point, because it just, I think what will end up happening is you have a deadline, oh, we have another deadline, and then it's no longer taken seriously. And if we leave it a bit open and we put our shoulders into the weight of creating enthusiasm, then once we have enough sort of enthusiasm, then we can say, yeah, now we have an opportunity to put a deadline in there.
What are you suggesting then?
Well, I think what Jonathan was saying is a
Be
valid point,
open-ended.
and I agree with that, and I think all points are valid.
No deadline, what you're saying.
I would say no deadline until we do as a committee consider the evaluation of our progress and whether or not deadline is valid at this point. Because right now we've recognized that the deadline didn't really gain us any ground. And putting out too many deadlines, people start may end up, if they see these deadlines, recognize that they just keep coming and then going and coming and going, that they may lose enthusiasm and seriousness of the process.
Caroline, what did Pete say about this? Because I'm inclined to defer to his judgment on this.
I mean, he suggested to have a deadline.
Okay. Then I'm inclined to agree with that, but.
But what I'm hearing is that we're making a distinction between a published deadline and an internal deadline.
Now, I think you publish, with Jonathan's point, you publish that we will be reevaluating on such and such a date. But not that it's a formal deadline.
What about language where we can say, and this would probably need to go through Pete. The first 25 respondents are the ones we look at. After that, you're out of luck.
That's an interesting shift.
You don't give 25.
Well, that's fine, but it shows some urgency.
Yes, 25.
They don't know if we're at 1 or 5,500.
They will if we.
That's a good idea.
What's that?
They will if we don't meet the deadline, or if we,
Then
the
instead of
deadline.
No, then there, instead of a deadline, so you're
The quota on the
Yes,
agenda.
right.
carrot is not the, or stick, is not the deadline, but the race against other potential applicants. Applicant isn't even quite the right word for an RFI, I think.
Submissions.
Well, except it's trying to generate the idea of an applicant rather than a submission.
I think the quota makes a lot of sense.
Is it allowed?
I don't know.
Oh, that, yeah,
I'll ask,
yeah.
but I don't see why not. I mean, the federal government does it for most grant applications. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, open until, it's like a job application, open until we find a qualified candidate. Same kind of concept.
Or so.
Well, that's a different way of phrasing it. Is it better or worse? Because it does feel different to me.
Probably a little stronger, I think, but. That's it. Go down to-
Yes. Okay, well, I except I think,
Base with Pete and see what he,
I think,
is that, I think sounds a little more customary.
I think the proposal is no deadline, open until
Next,
partners found.
So no quota.
No.
Well,
I seriously, I asked Pete,
okay.
his advice on quota versus
Okay, I can do
Yeah,
that.
why not?
qualified.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And in the meantime, the RFI is still posted on the website. It is available.
Well, you're talking about creating buzz. I think one thing good is if it got reported in the community news that it was available, just so it's more visible on the website.
Okay. It was posted in the news initially when we posted it.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. So how do we want to make a decision? Because Pete will not want to post it again until we have a decision about what we're doing with it. And
I would go with his decision, whether it's a quota or till we have qualified candidates.
okay, can we make a formal vote?
Move that.
Well, we can. Let's just clarify the options that we're discussing our open till a firm date, open till partners found, open till X number of submissions, applications,
I did not notice the first one.
What was the first one?
open till a firm
Natural.
date.
The,
Okay, so we don't like that one.
I didn't.
Okay. Other people can, I'll take it out and other people can say, no, keep it in. That's,
but the
Two
motion was to
options.
ask Pete as to whether.
To go with Pete's recommendation on it too.
right,
Right.
I just want us to be clear on the choices we discussed.
I thought it was one of the two. It was first, one of the three, first 25 until we find qualified partners or both.
I'd eliminate the both. I don't see any necessity for both.
Okay, I'm just, okay.
I like the idea of the qualified partners, at least a little open-ended and a little bit ambiguous, so people don't have a clear understanding as whether we do or we don't, but it alludes to the fact that we already have some. And it moves us forward still. If we put a deadline on the number and then we extend our deadline, it only shows that we haven't met that number. So qualified candidates is an ambiguous term that kind of gives us a little bit more leeway.
I could live with that. I'll modify my motion.
Okay, so we're asking Pete to choose between these two choices.
No, just to, what are we asking Pete then?
We're not asking for
Okay,
going with qualified candidates.
Okay,
Okay, done.
okay,
Okay,
You okay with that?
Yes,
I don't want to invite you.
okay.
so I'm going to draft an addendum to the RFI with a news release, and I'll send it to all of you.
Everybody.
to review.
You just did invite. I'm not going to.
With a deadline.
I mean,
For us,
yeah,
A deadline for us.
Yes.
we don't like that bunch of this.
If I click there, I don't want to invite all my.
okay,
You don't have to.
Sure.
is this discussion and decision formal enough? Okay,
The front thing.
okay.
But I would
Or just.
like for you, Caroline, to tell Pete what we're doing.
Oh, yes, I
See what,
certainly
yeah.
I certainly
He's your boss and I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, right now it's going.
I certainly will.
And he may have oh, you can word it this way.
Yes.
We didn't talk about
Right.
that we should hear.
What you.
While we're on the subject of coaching out,
Yeah.
I'm developing a walking tour.
Come back, Jonathan,
I'm sorry.
Rich.
My apologies.
The historical commission is developing a walking, audio walking tour of Whately Center. We'll have QR codes for history behind various buildings in town. And one of the buildings is the center school. And I don't know when we'll get this done. I suspect maybe September, but it was great to have the construction tape put across the steps. But does the barrel have to be there? Because it looks awful. Barrel. There's a big red,
Yeah.
orange barrel, blocking off the steps and
well,
it makes it look derelict.
Eric.
well, I think we had, when we were talking about
We
that,
asked it to be blocked off and
Yeah,
I'm not objecting to the tape.
softwares. And I just,
Well, the tape is fine. I think that.
I don't know how permanent the tape is. And I think I think something there that emphasizes, because we also talked about a sign, which I have not talked to Garrett about. But some wording on a sign I was gonna bring up today.
Well, I guess I would have concerns about general appearance from the street and from the sidewalk.
I think that's a fair comment. It's,
I mean, it's,
I think
it's
each,
important to reduce the liability, but also to keep the building alive.
I think maybe then it's, you remove the girl, but you ask Garrett to put up a no trespassing sign for liability purposes.
Or something. So maybe something you have to get fairly close to see, to read.
all right, well, maybe, I know that Garrett has been running flat out,
Yeah,
and he was on vacation
yeah,
at the
I'll
time.
just,
we missed
I
it last time.
just, you
I
know,
think
here.
he responded to the speed with which I had.
He did a great job and he's very
Well,
responsive.
I'll see if we can get some kind of posted sign that could be maybe set on a stake in front and carry
Yeah.
just hammer, you know, like little.
I don't think, no trespassing signs are pretty readable from farther out, if it's just that verbiage.
Well, you know, it can be readable. I guess it's the bright orange and the mass of the barrel. That's,
Okay, well, I was actually going to try to meet with Garrett, it's just been, he was on vacation.
no, I understand and I don't think there's any tremendous urgency about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
All right,
You're wanting to get something cleaned up before we're walking towards it.
yeah, and if you, we have prospects driving by to see this building.
okay,
Presumably, or coming to tour it. We need to put on a good face.
We already cleaned up the outside, so it's a lot better, and I know that the stuff was there just to keep
I understand, and I don't wanna expose the town to more to liability. I think it's important.
Perhaps another option that works best for both.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll I'll try to get
just
over
try and think about it.
in front of Garrett this week and, or actually, well, next week. But, to discuss it and see what.
If nothing can be done, nothing can be done, but I think there's probably something.
But the only other thing I had thought about when we were sitting down is what was how did we leave it where we were gonna speak to the abutters? think we
I was
discussed that.
supposed to, and I have not done it yet.
I was thinking I think there's some progress being made on the house across the street. I think that would be considered a butter too, that's changed hands recently. So,
The house across the street, the doctors.
Wow,
no,
it's on the corner.
Christian,
Right.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it was the former owner of Bill Palkowski's daughter.
yeah,
Boy, never met, but I'm in
I've
the
never
Palkowski
met.
house.
but I know she lived alone. When we moved into town, she was living.
yeah, she died.
Oh, she died?
Yeah, I don't know whether the ownership changed hands from family or not.
Is their family?
We don't know.
It was
Then-
sold
then it would
I-
be probate.
I bought Filkowski's, the parents' house from the brother, her brother. Cause apparently he owned it. They disputed whether to sell it or what to do with it for quite a while. And then what I was told is, well, actually, I inherited it, I'm selling it.
So he's fixing it up and then selling it, or he's already sold it?
Or she's talking about her
Where I
house.
live.
Oh, where you live? Okay.
So he is the only family I know about,
Right.
is my point.
The house used to be beautiful.
Yeah, my mother talked about
Which
how immaculate it was.
But it was immaculate, that and the house next to it, that blew up,
The
house blew up,
the
carpet
bushes were all
right.
cracked.
the line.
Yeah, I
Like
never-
somebody did the lawn with manicure scissors.
Oh, it was spectacular.
Well, collectively, the brother and sister lost their ability to maintain their property, because
She was not.
what I bought was not immaculate.
Right.
So
So where
I'll
are,
check with you.
Yeah.
All you need to do is check with the assessors, but
What-
yeah,
Before we leave, I don't, when are we intending to end this meeting? Caroline, do you have a deadline?
I don't have anything scheduled until 3, so.
Okay.
I gotta get.
Besides my
back to
need
my-
for lunch.
So I would like to have, before we close, some summary of what's been happening with the agricultural survey.
Yeah, I was gonna go there next.
Okay,
I emailed Gwen to remind her to encourage the agricultural commission to complete the survey. We have had 2 responses so far. I posted,
members of the commission is what you're talking about?
oh, it's anonymous. So I can't say, but there's more than
When you say complete, who did you ask?
Gwen.
You asked Gwen, I know she's the
Yes,
secretary. The way you worded your statement was you asked to have the members of the commission complete the survey.
Yes,
I suspect that only 2 of them grow food crops.
okay.
Anyway, several don't, so, but who is actually sent? I got lost whether we're sending, we/you are sending to the spreadsheet of farmers, or whether they are.
Well, like CISA?
No, we have a CISA is gonna send it to
Yes, and their newsletter. Yes.
we have a spreadsheet of Whately farmers from the Ag Commission that they updated.
Okay,
And I thought we were sending it out on that,
okay.
but I don't know. I got lost in your communications with Gwen, whether they're sending it out on that or we are. I think we are.
I never received a spreadsheet.
Yes, you did. I sent it to you and I asked you before. A long time ago.
Okay, I will.
I will send it again. But it was from 2020, I think, and then you got some more names from them, from that flyer. More
Yeah.
addresses.
Okay. Well, then I will send it. I have also posted it on Facebook, on the town's Facebook page to get more traction. And it will be posted on CISA's newsletter. So it'll go out to all the farms that are on CISA's email list.
On their local hero list.
Is there 2 lists? Is that the same list?
Yes,
The local heroes and all their members?
no, actually. They put one out. Newsletter goes out to their local hero members. They may be all their member. I'm sure they have more contacts. And probably more emails that aren't members.
Okay,
The newsletter goes out to their local hero
okay.
people. And those are the ones in the directory. In their directory.
Okay. So it's going out via CISA's newsletter.
And they were working on giving us a direct list of emails, but I don't know what message we've got from them.
No, well, they said that they weren't sure if they were able to make them public, like to send them to us, which
So
was
they
why
would
they
just
put it
send
in the
them.
newsletter.
Yeah, and I responded that they're only asking for the ones that are already available. And then I got the sense that they were working on it.
Yeah, because we had asked about Hampshire and Franklin County farms as like
Yeah,
a survey.
Yeah, and they wanted to stop. So I think they're working on it. They're not as well organized as they used to be.
Okay.
So the answer to the question, they really haven't gone out yet.
No.
And what we really should do, I know
And then we need to send
we're
it.
not liking deadlines, but we should establish a deadline as a committee that this is gonna go out at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe before we meet next.
And to the food trucks and the caterers too.
Yeah, food truck caterers, the whole 9 yards.
So the deadline is for returning the survey?
Just getting.
Just getting it out.
Okay.
I think Caroline will do that expeditiously and like.
Okay. Are we gonna call and follow up with people who received
The Ag Commission has agreed to follow up with the ag, with the Whately,
Whately people?
and I don't. We haven't discussed the CISO ones, but. Maybe we should see what volume of responses we get first.
And I don't remember if they said when their newsletter goes out.
I don't. If anybody runs into Margaret, you see Margaret Christie, ask her.
Do I know Margaret Christie?
She's married to Nicholas Jones. She lives across the street.
And I did ask her once if she worked for CISA, and she said no.
She's their project director, special project director. You run into her, just ask.
Okay, all right.
Or ask Nichols.
I see Nicholas a lot more than I see Margaret.
Yeah, he knows it. Nicholas's work takes him around town. Margaret's doesn't.
Margaret and I do go to the same yoga studio. Okay, so at our next meeting, it should be an agenda item to discuss whether we need to follow up with survey recipients. Does the survey have a deadline?
No,
Okay. Okay.
If it did, we would be on past it.
Well, it hadn't gone out, so. Okay. All right, so right now I have for action items, keep working on Facebook groups. A scoop call for social media champion, I called it.
Is it that or a friends of them? Should that include members of the Friends of the Center School?
Yes. Right, I mean, it's really for both. It may actually be exclusively for the Friends social media, because we want comments.
Yeah.
And
So maybe it's a
manage
call for
the town one.
Yeah.
Which,
So,
No, you
so
don't.
I would recast it as a call for members of the Friends, especially those with social media interests.
okay. To really look at our lists of our spreadsheets and generate a list of who we need to tester. Who we need to become the squeaking wheels for, because it's not everybody on the list. It's not the people who would only be involved once something is built. It's the ones that can help us get funding or partners. Right? Okay. And the survey.
And the butters.
Thank you. I remembered that when I first started talking. And the questions for them is, do they have any concerns? Just to
Well,
make sure we're addressing
An
them.
education thing, is there what we're talking about? They don't have concerns because they don't know.
Right, update and anything that we haven't, that update doesn't include that they want us to be talking about. I will keep Jim, Hannon and Bell, not Bell. Who's the other Quan?
Leslie,
Who lives behind the,
what's her name?
You mean the caretaker?
No.
no,
the
caretaker is Leslie, the co-owner are
Yeah.
Allison and Baker. Thank you. I will keep Ann and John, but not Connie, I think was her name's house owner, because I don't. Somebody else needs to track down who owns that.
I can track it down.
And we can talk about,
Walk across to the assessors
fine.
or check the website, and it'll be an LLC.
You should probably include, the Youngs in that group as a butters. Down the hill on Christian Way on the right, if you're leaving center school, they have the long driveway going up the hill.
Brick house.
The house is really close to,
Yeah.
you know. Kim and Brett.
Outstanding person. I have with it. It's been fun.
Jim is gonna talk to Garrett.
yeah. Okay. Given those action items. Guys, hold on. When should we next meet?
Yes, let's set a date of that. We'll live by.
Well, you're away, Caroline's away.
Yeah, let's, wait a second, let's. I am out of town the first week in August. Week of the 9th, 17th.
What day of the week is that?
Well,
Tuesday, Monday.
Just at one.
I said the week after, could we Tuesday the 18th?
Do we? Yeah. We can. Will we be ready to?
That's a better question.
You've got the bulk of the work, would the 25th be better?
I've got the bulk of the work. Why do I have the bulk of the work?
I'll say Constance.
I mean,
She's still listed.
Hmm?
She's still listed as on it.
So does that work?
I don't know what I mean, I'll tell you what I think will do is be reviewing lists and dividing up contacts. And I don't know if we need to have a meeting to do that.
Could we postpone scheduling of the meeting until we have sufficient data to talk about and then schedule it then?
Not if we need to be contacting people.
I think he's saying we do the contacting and then.
Oh, no.
I think we should review lists by email. Not new names, but like the review of who we need to be keeping pushing for engagement. I think we should do that by email. And that whatever new names you get, you send out to us like you did before. And then we need to keep having some contact on our own.
That's what John had said.
And maybe in September. That work
Fine.
for everybody's good with that?
I think Tuesdays seem to be the date when we finally schedule something.
No. What are we doing now? We're postponing it until September.
Yes, because
Okay, is there a particular date? Yeah.
the 7th is Labor Day,
I'm away that week.
the week of the 7th. Yeah, and just, yeah, let's stay away. So the 15th,
10 a.m.
September 15th, 10 a.m.
And I suggest that we schedule an end time as well, so that we know that we gotta be done.
and
And I'm just guilty of going down the rabbit holes as anybody, and I
Yeah.
apologize.
No, I,
of the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're usually done by 11:30. If that works well for people.
There are other things that aren't. Well, I don't know whether they're action items or not, but touring the center school.
I was just, yeah,
Learning more about the Orange Athol launchpad space. Scoop.
yeah,
You had that. So
yep. It's an action item.
are you drafting them?
I can. Yeah.
Base with Jonathan with that.
Um. Jim, will you contact me after the 5th about seeing the center school?
Yeah, 5th of August.
Yeah.
Steve wants to go to.
Are you gone any dates?
no, I don't have any,
Okay,
between now and September, no.
okay,
And you need to go.
Everybody took to get it.
okay. So right to both of us and, or right to all of us. I just don't wanna have to remember it. And we'll be looking for a time.
Well, I don't really need to go. I mean,
You'll be invited.
okay.
And maybe,
Anybody.
Yeah.
exactly, maybe
Yeah.
there'll be somebody else who we have a conversation with
Yeah,
that really wants to see it, who we can invite at the same time.
You think Garrett, would you like to offer him an invitation to tour with us?
Ask him if he wants to, if you're gonna talk to him anyway,
Yeah,
but we're not burdening him with setting
Yeah.
it up or being there.
right.
Cause I found my key finally.
You did.
I thought Rich had to have it, cause I couldn't find it, but that's the way my house is. Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.